I turned 57 last year, and this year I have 7 tattoo appointments scheduled. And trust me, I hear all the time about age and tattoos, and I pay no attention to that, as you can clearly tell. But that got me to thinking, and I want to share with you my story of why I started getting tattooed in the first place 27 years ago. So here's my story. So to tell this story, we need to flash back 27 years ago to 30-year-old Lonnie. Now, I, at that time, had left my ex-husband. It took me a couple of times for it to stick for some reason, but I had, my ex-husband had moved out of the house, and I was in a very unhealthy, unhappy marriage. It was not good. There was no redeeming qualities of my marriage other than the fact that it produced my 2 children. But there I sat. I sat there just like in a crossroads of life. My life was going to change one direction or the other. It was going to change. So I really was like going through this point in my life where I'm like, I'm going to make some changes, and I want to start being independent. I want to start being myself. I no longer wanted to feel trapped by the marriage that was unhealthy. And I felt like I wanted to break out and start being who I was. So I thought, I want to get a tattoo. I want to get a tattoo to represent where I'm at, who I'm at, and what I am feeling. So, you know, it was a different time back then. 27 years ago, in where we're at, there wasn't a tattoo shop on every corner, and they definitely were not as family friendly as they are now. So I'm like, oh, I want to get a tattoo. I just don't know how. I don't know where to go. So I was talking to my sister, and because she was my ride or die, and I told her, I'm like, I want to get a tattoo. And she's like, oh my gosh, so do I, because she didn't have one either. So her husband at the time found us a tattoo shop that ended up being some outlaw biker shop out in the desert, and that is where we ended up getting our first tattoo. Like I said, my sister and I went together, and you know, to paint the scene, because I'm a very untraditional mother, we packed up our kids and we all went to go get a tattoo together. So it was me, my sister, my 2 children, her 2 children, and her husband at the time. And Robert remembers, my oldest son still remembers the shop because they had a rattlesnake in an aquarium, because I told you what kind of shop it was. But we went and got this tattoo, and it has stayed with me for 27 years. Now, the first tattoo that I picked was this one here. It was a barbed wire around my ankle. And what that represented was how I was feeling. That represented how I felt trapped. I felt imprisoned. I felt imprisoned in a facade of my marriage. I felt imprisoned by my ex-husband. And instead of getting a tattoo of like freedom at that time, I got a tattoo of barbed wire to remind myself of where I was and how I never wanted to feel again. A couple of times I thought about covering it up, but I'm glad I didn't, because today it just represents exactly what I wanted it to 27 years ago. It still represents the simple fact that I never want to feel like that again. It still is a daily reminder to myself that I have freedoms within myself to be whoever I want to be, and I absolutely love it. Now, I am part of my 7 appointments that I have this year is I'm doing an American traditional calf sleeve with Austin Maples out of LA, and he already put one tattoo on my calf. But when I showed him, I'm like, I got this one like 27 years ago. It's kind of like, very old school, it's not as fancy as they are today. And his response was, wow, he goes, that's really cool. He goes, I love that it's there. It's perfect placement. We're going to build it right into the calf sleeve. So if you have an older tattoo out there, you know what? They're cool. They're retro. They might not be perfect, but they can represent a whole lot. My second tattoo in my journey. My marriage, like I said, took me a couple of times to leave my ex-husband, but finally it stuck. Because I gotta tell you, after I got my first tattoo and we reconciled and got back together for a short time, he did nothing but berate me for my tattoo. He did nothing but tell me what a horrible person I was for that tattoo. And you know what? If nothing else, there's a perfect reason to get the tattoo. Because like I said, there was nothing good about that marriage. And if that tattoo helped me make that final jump to my freedom, then I'm glad I got it. So a couple of years later, there I am. I'm about 32, 33. And I'm like, you know what? It's time for another tattoo. Now, this time I wanted it to represent more freedom. I had my tattoo of my barbed wire enclosing in prison. This one I wanted to have a little bit more like, oh, I have some freedom in my life. So during that time, lower back tattoos were very popular. Now, this is the only tattoo that I've ever gotten where I've picked the art off of the wall. Because back in those days, you know what, there wasn't social media like there is now. You really couldn't see artists work the way we can now. So you walked into the shop and you're like, I'll take that one. And this is the one that I picked. This is my lower back tattoo that for me represented freedom. It was a flower with the vine spreading out, and I like that tattoo. Now, when I got that tattoo, there was not the stigma that goes with them for the next 15 years. I will not say what it was called because I think it is absolutely ludicrous. I think the idea that anybody who has a lower back tattoo has it there for any sort of other reason than they just want it there is shameful. Because I gotta tell you, 27 years ago till today, I fought the stigma of tattoos, meaning that you were easy, that you were wild, that you were rebellious. All of these ideas came along with tattoos. And then when women started getting tattoos on their lower back, it just started being like, you're this, you're that, and not in a positive way. So yes, I have a lower back tattoo. You can say whatever you want about it. I love my lower back tattoo because it's mine, it's on my body, and it represents my freedom. So if you're out there and you have a lower back tattoo, show it with pride. You know what? Don't let society put a tag on there that has absolutely nothing to do with it, and show your lower back tattoo with pride. Can you tell I get a little passionate about this subject? Yes, I do. So there you go. That was my second tattoo that represented freedom on my lower back. And I still love it today. And let's go on to the next one. The third tattoo I got, and I'm doing this in the order in which I got them, was my stomach tattoo. Now, this tattoo for me represented, there's 3 hearts, which represent me and my 2 sons. And it's wrapped in flames. And I got that for the representation of the simple fact that it was always the 3 of us. Once I left my marriage, it was always me and my 2 boys against the world. That's just the way it was. And I wanted the hearts because they were my world. I loved them to death. But I had it encased in flames. Because life was really hard right then. Right then and there, we were struggling. I was struggling in relationships. I was in a very toxic relationship with a boyfriend. It was not a good time. And I just felt like our love was just encased in flames. It was just burning up. And I put it on my lower stomach because that is where I made my kids. I carried my children in that area. And that was the reason why I put it there. Now, I did get the idea of a lower stomach tattoo one time when I was in a bar, and the bartender, I could see the tattoo coming up out of her pants, and I thought that was really cool. So I'm not going to say I came up with it completely on my own, because I did see that in order for it to give me the idea of the tattoo. But that is the reason behind that one. Now, the funny side story to this tattoo is because it seems like I have one on every single one, but I went to the tattoo shop with my boyfriend at the time, and I told the artist what I wanted to get and where I wanted to get it. And I was 35 at the time, and I literally had to have a 10-minute argument with this tattoo artist, probably longer, but I had to argue with him about putting it there, because he told me, now mind you, he told me it was going to look horrible when I was older. He's like, no, I don't want to put it there. It's going to look bad when you get older. Your stomach's going to get gross, and I don't want to put it there. And I'm like, excuse me, who are you talking to? This is my body. I'll put it wherever I want. And he's like, no, it's not going to look good when you're older. And I'm like, you don't know me. I go, I'm going to, no matter, it's my body and my representation. And that message is never going to change. That message is never going to change no matter how my body changes. So I won. You can tell I won because my tattoo's there. And I got my tattoo, and I still love it today. It still reminds me today of where I was back then. It reminds me today of what me and my boys have been through. It reminds me today to be thankful for what we have accomplished, because we have accomplished a lot. And that is my daily reminder of our journey. And I still love it. You know what? 57. I still love my stomach tattoo. Side note, from the first 3, that one hurt the worst, but it didn't stop me from getting more, because I have a lot more to tell you about. Those are the first 3 tattoos I got. Now, yeah, I was in my 30s when I got them, and I'm in my 50s now, and I'm still getting tattooed today. And I was thinking about it when I was thinking about filming this episode as to what has changed from in my 30s to what has changed in my 50s. And I still have the passion for getting tattoos, but I'm getting them for different reasons now. When I was in my 30s, I was getting my tattoos as a healing mechanism. I was getting my tattoos to show pain that I had been through, hope for the future. It showed a whole lot of things. A lot of my tattoos in my 40s and early 50s were memorial tattoos of people who I lost, and that helped me with the coping of losing them. But now that I'm 57, I'm getting tattooed faster now than I was in my 30s and my 40s. So I'm like, okay, Lonnie, well, what's changed in you? And the thing that has changed in me, and I think it's really cool, is now I'm just getting them because I like them. I'm getting them because I like me, I like the way I look, and I love my tattoos. And it's the kind of the duality of people always ask me, like, do tattoos have to have meaning? And here's your answer is no, they do not. They can have great meaning. They can have great healing. They can give you great healing. They can have beautiful purposes. They can have wonderful stories, or they can just be a random tattoo that you like, that you absolutely love, which happens to be my hand tattoo. People ask me all the time, what's your favorite tattoo? And I always say my hand. And it's really cool. It was a really cool moment for me to look back at the beginning of my journey, to see where I'm at now, and understand the difference of why I'm getting tattooed now compared to why I got tattooed back then. So there you go. That was my episode for today. Again, I hope you really enjoyed my tattoo stories. I am going to be continuing on in this series. The next one will be my colored arm, because this is a full episode all in itself. And if you did enjoy today's episode, by all means, please hit that like button. If you'd like to stick around, see what I'm going to talk about next, you can hit subscribe. Now, if you have any comments or any concerns, or if you like any suggestions for future episodes, please leave a comment down below. And also, too, you can follow me on any of my social media platforms. Those are all listed down below also. So until next time, remember, tell yourself something kind, wear what you want, and get a tattoo. If you want a tattoo, just get it. I'll see you on the next episode. Bye.